Wall Street Journal reporting in May, a couple of months ago, Ron Paul ads warn of a financial crisis. Former Representative Ron Paul is warning in television commercials of a calamitous U.S. financial crisis that could bring civil unrest and a stock market collapse, a crash infinitely worse than the crisis of 2008. He urges viewers to prepare by buying a survival blueprint, a book advice from an investment research firm. Ron Paul has been appearing in radio spots, web videos, and television ads for Stansberry and Associates Investment Research, a Baltimore firm whose founder, Porter Stansberry, was once sued by the Securities and Exchange Commission for fraud arising from stock tips sold through his newsletter. The ads urge viewers to buy a book by Mr. Stansberry, America 2020, The Survival Blueprint, to safeguard savings and wealth against the crisis it says will arise from the devaluation of the dollar, driven by the Federal Reserve's loose money policies and the federal debt. Stocks and bonds will crash, the 79-year-old former Texas congressman says in an ad broadcast on CNN. The savings of millions could be wiped out. You can't rely on Washington to help you. The doomsday warnings aren't entirely different from views Ron Paul expressed as a member of Congress and presidential candidate when he called for a return to the gold standard, abolishing the Fed and other libertarian policies to change the status quo. But the nationally broadcast ads are a high-profile reminder of how far his views are from those of mainstream economists, most of whom are projecting slow but steady growth for the U.S. The SEC, neither Mr. Stansberry nor Ron Paul responded to requests for the comment on the ads. The SEC sued Mr. Stansberry for fraud concerning stock tips sold to newsletter subscribers. Mr. Stansberry fought the charges in court while with the support of some newspapers, saying it was a violation of First Amendment rights of free speech. The Supreme Court last fall declined to hear the case after a lower court ruled against Mr. Stansberry. So, why did I read that? Because I don't do politics much on this show, and I'm certainly not here to pick on Ron Paul. And it's Ron Paul, not Rand Paul. His son is the one that's running for president, so it's not about any of that. And I don't know anything about Stansberry. I know as much about him as you do right now because I just now read this article to you, and I'm not an expert on those guys. But I do know that in the last few weeks, an increasing number of emails are coming in this place, and an increasing number of calls are coming into our customer care center wanting to know how to prepare for the end of the world financial collapse that apparently is predicted for September by some of these people. There's a book called The Harbinger out that has some of that in it. And I think they may have been a year off, but I think the Mayans predicted the end of the world last year. But of course, there's not a lot of Mayans around to make the argument because apparently their prediction about a lot of things is wrong. So, let me help you guys. Okay, you do whatever you want to do, but I'm an evangelical Christian and I believe the Bible. And the Bible says that fear is not a fruit of the Spirit. Well, I look around, Dave, and I see wars, and I see Greece collapsing, and I see, us capitulating or negotiating or whatever you call it with Iran. I see the stock market going up. It's artificially high. It's artificially low. I see real estate booming. I can't tell, and I'm just scared. Well, I understand. That means you're watching the news too much. You need to turn off your television. I have a friend of mine watching CNN and Fox all day long. We're going to have to put the boy in a rubber room. It's going to destroy his psyche. Zig Ziglar used to say, I get up every morning and read the newspaper and read the Bible to see what both sides are doing. So, I mean, really, you have got to think about what you're putting in your brain. And one of the downsides of 24-hour news is that it's not good, none of it, and I participate in it. I show up on CNN occasionally, I show up on Fox occasionally, but it's not to predict the end of the world. So fatiguing. So here's the thing. I'm 50, almost 55 years old. I'll be 55 next month. And I have seen the end of the world predicted pretty regularly throughout my adult life. There was going to be the thing under the Grace Commission under Reagan. There's a whole thing about the hockey stick graph of the debt and how that was going to cause the, there was a book out by Peter Grace, who was the head of the Grace Commission under Reagan to study the national debt, and they predicted, it was called Bankruptcy 1984. It was predicting the bankruptcy of the United States in 1984 because the debt was going to surpass our ability to carry it. Guess he missed that one. Maybe he meant a different 1984. No, he didn't. He just predicted the end of the world. A couple years later, I got a brochure in the mail from Christian people in this same area. 88 reasons Jesus is coming back in 88. Must have been another reason, because you missed something. He didn't come back in 88. I mean, you know the end of the world is possible, but not likely, because they just remade the movie Mad Max. That right there is a direct indicator. Where do you people get this information? Truthfully. It's like we are a Freudian or something, and we really expect bad things to happen. By the way, when you start taking actions based on expecting bad things to happen, you pretty much ensure that bad things are going to happen in your life. So if you sell everything and move to a log cabin because of the predictions of the end of the world, I hope you like log cabins. You're going to be there a while. And it's not that I'm just eternally optimistic or that I've got my head in the sand and I don't admit that there's problems with the debt in the U.S. and the spending by Congress and this out-of-control president that has spent more than all the other presidents in history put together. It's not got anything to do with any of that. Yes, that's all stupid, and yes, that all needs to be fixed. But please, people, don't sell everything you own, liquidate your IRAs, and go buy generators, water. Oh, did I mention Y2K? You missed that one too, didn't you? Still got any of your dried food? So, I mean, really, if you run your life based on fear of what might happen, you are going to ruin your life. There is no biblical indication that this is going to occur. Matter of fact, a lot of biblical indications that the world is not coming to an end in September. Matter of fact, you can just call me up in October and tell me I was wrong. I will give you a prediction. I very seldom do that, but I will give you a firm prediction that the world will not come to an end. The financial markets are not going to collapse in September. I am not pulling money out of the stock market. I am not liquidating my real estate, and I am not pulling money out of the banks. Stop being cult-following children, America. This is stupid.